Welcome to House Talk on KAFM 88.1 Community Affairs. This is a monthly program that features local experts to discuss real estate topics of interest to home buyers and sellers in Mesa County. I'm your host. I'm Kate Porras. I'm a realtor at RE/MAX 4000. And as always, we're going to kick it off with some stats for Mesa County. You know, the big question I keep getting asked by buyers is, where are those home prices for Mesa County? A lot of people keep expecting them to drop, and we aren't exactly seeing that. Let me kind of break it down for you. So the average sold price for the month of February through 2023 was about $420,000. Now, if you go back to last month's show, you'll remember that we did have a dip in home prices. The average home price in January was about $386. So you can see that we've rebounded quite nicely from that price in January. In fact, if you go back to December of last year, 2022, the average sales price for a single-family residential home was about $429. So we're pretty close to where we were right at the end of last year. And if you want to look at what is moving on the market, well, a lot of properties are moving. We do have a lot of active buyers out there. If you're looking in the price range under $300,000 here in Mesa County, we only have about a month or two before all homes would be sold if nothing else came back on the market. Really a short supply there. It doesn't get even or balanced between a buyer-seller's market until you're closer, even up over that $500,000 or $600,000 mark. That's where the market's a little bit more balanced. If you're over the $700,000 mark, definitely more of a buyer's market there, taking longer for those homes to sell. But we do have a lot of buyers that are active right now. We're also starting to see quite a few competing prices or competing offers on homes from buyers. So if you're shopping, now's a good time to get with your real estate agent and look and see what is in your best interest for your purchasing property. When we're talking about property, we also want to talk about this month rental properties. I've had a lot of clients considering purchasing rental properties. And so I have a special guest in the studio today, Allan Ross. He's the business development manager of Eclipse Property Management. Allan, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Kind of give us a brief summary. Tell us about yourself a little bit.
Yeah, so I have been in the property management game for around 6 months now with Eclipse Property Management. Learning a lot, getting to know the market here. It's been, as we all know, a bit crazy. So just getting situated.
You know, is Mesa County a good place to invest in rental property?
I would say so, yes. I think over the last 10 years, we've seen a growing population in Mesa County. Overall, in the last 10 years or so, there has been a decrease in property prices and an increase in rental prices. So yes, I would say overall.
Yeah, we have been seeing those rental prices move up. And so I think a lot of people are wondering, okay, do I buy? Do I rent? And it's an interesting dynamic right now in our market. I know a lot of clients, like I mentioned, are actually considering purchasing properties to use as rentals. And then comes the question, well, do I try to manage that myself or do I use a management company?
Yeah, there are lots of things to consider. There's advantages and disadvantages. I think if you're going to self-manage, it's dependent on what your goal is. You could end up saving money with no management fee. You have a lot more control on how you do it, a lot more flexibility in how you like market your property, distribute leases, what your leases kind of look like. Whereas a property manager could come with a bit more expertise in the matter, with a lot of rental laws, fair housing, habitability laws. It's all involved in renting in general. So I think it could provide some relief in terms of time and stress.
You brought up some good points there, in that there are a lot of laws that come into play when you're renting properties. Habitability laws. I bet a lot of people don't even consider that. Explain that a little bit.
Yeah, so there are certain laws that we have to abide by when we're screening tenants, when we get applications in. There's no room for discrimination. So there are certain screening processes that we have to go through, and that's where hiring a property manager becomes very useful.
I think also a lot of people have concerns about, if I rent this house out, maybe they've even been living in it for a number of years and they're turning it into rental. They have a lot of emotional investment in it, and they get concerned about the condition of the property. Does a property management come into play then with helping with that?
Yeah, it all comes down to due diligence. You need to keep records of what the home looks like before tenants move in. Consistent inspections, exterior, interior inspections. But I would say, just take lots of pictures. Make sure that you're not liable for anything after tenants move out. So I'd just say due diligence.
That's a great idea. You're listening to House Talk on KAFM Grand Junction. In the studio today is Allan Ross from Eclipse Property Management. So if people are thinking of getting into the rental business, in your opinion, is there a specific type of home that tends to make a better rental over a different type of home?
You know, the best thing you can possibly do when you're looking for an investment is create a gross monthly income analysis. It's essentially what the property could rent for, and then subtract all your expenses. If you're still, having to pay off the mortgage, you want to set aside a maintenance reserve, property taxes, insurance, utilities, management fees, any miscellaneous expenses, even HOA fees. You need to kind of get a good grasp of what your expenses are before you invest in a property.
And that way you'll know hopefully what you would be either cash flowing or appreciating with the property as it goes.
Exactly.
Is there, 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 4-bedroom? Does any of that matter?
So I always say think big when you're looking at an investment. So take a look at the property, see what can be done. Investments, it's a long-term thing. So maybe in a couple years you can split the house in two and you could double your income. Maybe there's room for an ADU in the back, maybe 2 ADUs in the back. Maybe you can split the lot. So think big, but definitely run the numbers.
But do 2 bedrooms rent out as well? Is there a need for those?
No, absolutely. There's 100% a need. They do rent out. There's definitely most certainly a need for housing in Grand Junction, so you can't go wrong.
How do you figure out what a good rent is for the property?
There's a lot of ways you can do it. You can do, price by square footage. It's often based on location as well, the upkeep of the home, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms. There's lots of things to consider, but it's honestly what the market's telling you at the time. It's the same with listing a house for sale. The higher the price, the longer it's going to sit on the market.
And when it comes to screening tenants, I know you mentioned we can't discriminate. The same with real estate when you're buying and selling, can't discriminate. But are there things that people can look into when determining if they want to have a tenant in their home?
Yeah, I mean, you need to do your credit checks and your background checks, and you need to do your ability to pay. Can the tenant pay? Do they have a stable job? Honestly, it's important to also look at rental history, references, or stuff like that you should certainly take into consideration.
I know some people, you mentioned rental history, so obviously if someone can show that they've been paying rent for a while, hopefully that would be something they would continue doing with the property you're renting out. I know that some people will do a guarantor. Is that something that you see happening a lot if they don't have a good rental history?
Yeah, we do that. We ask for a guarantor if they're under 18. So a lot of our investments around the college, we require a guarantor. But other than that, it is a bit of a risk.
It is a bit of a risk. And the guarantor then is on the hook too for the lease if the person isn't paying. Is that how that works?
Right, exactly.
And can you do the same kind of checks on the guarantor as you would the tenant as far as background and credit?
Yeah, so you would actually screen them like you would a tenant if they were to move in. So they would be liable for anything that the potential tenants moving in would be.
You're listening to House Talk on KAFM Grand Junction, and in the studio today is Allan Ross of Eclipse Property Management. So, we've been seeing as far as home prices for purchasing, those have been going up quite a bit over the last couple of years. What have we been seeing as far as rental prices?
So right now, with the partners that we have and just looking at the numbers, it looks like rental prices are decreasing this year. There's currently a lot of supply, so it just comes to supply and demand right now. But there's a lot of incentive to investing in properties as well. But at the moment, you'll probably start seeing a force of rental price decreases.
Interesting. I know there's been a lot of growth with CMU over the past couple of years and just growth in the town in general. Has that impacted the rental market here locally?
Yeah. So in terms of the economy, CMU is a huge contributor. Education is a great indicator of stability in the economy. So I think, as as more students are more eager to stay in Grand Junction, contribute to the economy here, it's going to be a huge contributor.
Is that CMU area, is that a prime area for rentals?
Yes, we do see a lot of rentals there. Students need housing. Hot season's coming up soon, May, June, July, so that's when we usually see a lot of turnover.
Hot season meaning people are moving in or out or both?
So we try to start our leases beginning of the summer because that's usually when students start looking, and then they can put a deposit and first month's rent down then as well.
So are they moving in then too, or are they?
Yeah, so they would lease beginning of the summer. Maybe they go home for a couple months and then come back into the property.
And length of lease, is there a standard length of lease, or does it matter?
Generally it's a year. You can do 6 months, you can do month to month, but it generally doesn't matter.
In your opinion, how is the future of the rental market looking here in our area?
It's great. There's a lot of incentive for housing. I know there's discussions being that maybe they'll be allowing 2 ADUs to be built for every single family home. So there's huge incentive, there's huge need, and it's a bright future, I think.
If you mention those ADUs, we've talked about them on previous episodes of this show, and that is a good opportunity to, even if you don't want to move out of the house you're currently in, you can still really utilize your property and make some income, hopefully.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity, and it allows people in the teaching sector and the medical sector.
Yeah,
they're really going to need it, so it's going to be great. And there are ways to do it. So get with your loan officer.
Yeah. If you have more questions, or if people have more questions, Allan, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can go to renteclipse.com and all my information is there. I'm also on Facebook, so feel free to message me.
Might be a great opportunity to get invested in the real estate market and maybe make some money off of it.
Absolutely.
Allan, thanks so much for being here. This segment airs on the second Wednesday of each month. You can also listen to podcasts on demand at KAFMcommunityradio.org. And make sure to join me next month for another edition of House Talk. If you have a topic that you want me to address, feel free to give me a call or look me up. My website is kateporus.com, and you can get more information there as well.